Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com, and in this tutorial I'm going to make this ball bounce off these bats, or appear to. And actually the ball, it always moves in a constant speed in this tutorial, in this demo, as I mentioned before, which doesn't look that impressive, and it would look nice if it bounced with some acceleration. But just for this demo, I'm just going to be content if, in the event of a ball colliding with a bat, it bounces off it instead of proceeding through to the edge of the screen. So I'll go to game here, and I could give the ball a reference to the bats, both of the bats, and the ball could check the bats and change its movement appropriately. But I've already given the opponent bat a reference to the ball, and I don't really want sort of circular type references in my games. It's going to feel quite tangled. So I think what I'll do is I'll figure out the logic here in update in game.java. I'm going to find out if the ball has collided with one of the bats and tell the ball to move as appropriate. So I'm going to say if ball.get screen rect. So let's get the bounding position of the ball on the screen, and then I'll say that if the left hand side of it, in fact let's just take this out for a second, and let's say int ball, no, I won't do that. What I'll do is bear with me, I will get the bounding rect of the player's bat. Let's do that for a start. So I'll say if player.get screen rect, and the rect class has a method called contains, which I'm going to use. So I'm going to say contains if player.get screen rect.contains, and I want to get the player is on the left hand side. It's the bat on the left hand side. So I want to find out if let's say the center pixel of the ball on the left edge of the ball, like kind of around here, I want to know if that has collided, if this is inside this rect. So I can say if player.getScreenRect.contains, and the x, I want to say ball.getScreenRect.x. That will be the x position that I want to check for. And is that right? Well, actually I need to say left. So and the y position is going to be, I want it to be this kind of the middle of the ball. So I'm going to say get screen rect dot center y. So this coordinate, the left hand edge of the ball and the center vertically, that's the middle point of the left hand edge of the ball. And I'm saying that if the player's bat contains that point on the ball, then I want to tell the ball to start moving right. So I'll say ball.move right, and I'll implement that. I'll click on the error and go to create method, and now I'm in the ball class, and in there I'll just say direction x equals 1, and that will set the ball moving to the right. And while I'm at it, let's just copy that, and I'll put in move left, and that will set the direction x equal to -1, which will move it to the left. And now I go back to game.java, and in there I can say, okay, we've checked to see if the center point of the left hand edge of the ball is on the player's bat, and if it is, make the ball start moving right. And I can say else if opponent.get screen rect dot contains, and this time the x will be ball.get screen rect dot right, and the y will be ball.get screen rect dot center y again, so the vertical center of the ball again. And I think this algorithm should work pretty well, and I'll say ball.move left if it intercepts the opponent's bat over on the right there. We also want to know what happens if the ball goes off the edge of the screen. So I want to say else if, and we're going to have to say something like if the ball dot get screen rect dot left, if that's pretty far over to the left, then it means that the ball's got past the player, in which case the player has lost this particular game. But what's the definition of if it's got past the player or not? Let's say something like if it's maybe well, we're already checking to see if the ball's intercepted the player's bat, and so it could have bounced, and if it hasn't, if the left is less than player dot get screen rect dot right, so if it's less than the right hand edge of the player, then, and this hasn't been executed, so it didn't bounce off the player's bat, then the player's lost. So we can do something there like well, let's just say for the moment log.d, and I'll put my initials in there and I'll say lost. And then finally we can tackle the situation where the player's won. So if ball.get screen rect dot right is greater than opponent dot get screen rect dot left, then we say log.d tag and 1, because the ball has got past the opponent and the player has won. Let's save that and run it. One little thing that I'm slightly in doubt about is whether it might be possible somehow, because the amount that the ball moves is irregular, and the ball can sometimes move several pixels perhaps if a lot of times elapsed since last time the update was run. So is it possible that the ball could be heading directly for the bat? And no, I think this should work actually. Yeah, I was trying to think if we should allow some sort of safety margin before we say that the game's been lost, but I think this will probably work. Let's go to DDMS and go to my debug output, clear all previous debug output, and now I'll move the bat. Well, let me show you this, because otherwise it's going to be very boring for you. Here's the game, and you can't see it. It's not looking smooth because of the emulator, but you see that the ball's bouncing off the bats hopefully, and I'm going to bounce it back, and the opponent's trying to get it, and it did bounce off the opponent. And let me move the bat deliberately down, and we should see that though we get lost, and we're getting lots of lost messages. And the reason for that, sometimes we get some 1-1s because the opponent misses it, which is great. We're getting lots of these messages because of course at the moment the ball just carries on even if the state should be lost or won, and it just bounces back anyway. So what we're going to do perhaps in the next tutorial is we're going to fix it so that when the game is lost or won, we stop the game at least temporarily at that point and display some sort of appropriate message. So that's it for this tutorial, and until next time, happy coding.